Why was Joe Torre a great manager?
I think Joe Torre had the ability to make you feel like everything was going to be all right if you worked hard, stuck together, and were prepared. Like, don't worry about the outside noise. I will handle it. You know, you have an owner that's very demanding, but Joe just had a calmness to him in a place that wasn't calm. And I think you can understand that in coaching in Dallas.
Sure.
The expectations are huge, but Joe and David Cohn took all the pressure off of everybody else because they were the sounding boards when they needed a sound bite. And Joe just let us relax and do our thing.
Yeah. It's not easy to do, right? Because there's obviously pressure on
No,
him to win. I mean, you go to the divisional championship series with the Yankees. I mean, that's not a successful season, you know?
no.
Yeah, you gotta win the World Series or people aren't happy, and for a guy to be able to handle all that as well as he did, pretty amazing.
It was. And even after we lost the first two games in 96 to the Atlanta Braves. We got pummeled the first
Mhm.
game like 14-1. Andrew Jones was like 12 years old and hit two home runs. And then we lost 4-1 to Greg Maddux. And both these games were at home. And George came in and he was quite upset and was in Joe's office. And he said, George, don't worry, boss, don't worry. He said, Atlanta's my town. We're going to go win three there. And we're going to come home and win game six and we'll be World Series champion. And I'm sure Mr. Steinbrenner was probably saying, are you crazy? Right? Are you crazy? But that's exactly what happened. And Andy Pettit, who started game one, who got pummeled, beat John Smoltz 1-0 in game five. I mean, that's our game. You can go from GOAT to hero in a
Yeah.
short period of time. We didn't have to wait a week. We got to
Yeah,
play
yeah.
the next day.
Yeah, exactly right.
And and that was Joe. He was able, like we never knew that George was so mad and upset about the first two games because he kept it in his office and calmed him down.
Yeah. You know, two of my all-time favorite athletes are Derek Jeter and Mariano Rivera. You know, as a player, I admired them. When I became a coach, we use them as examples all the time when talking to the team. You were teammates of theirs, and then you coached them when you were the manager of the Yankees, and you were so gracious to, you know, bring me down to spring training. And I had some special time with both those guys. They were amazing. Talk about that experience of being teammates and then being their manager and their influence on the Yankees.
You know, people thought that that might be difficult on me, but I thought it was easier. And here's why. The one thing that we want to know as a position in leadership is we want to know somebody's heart and we want to know what makes them tick. Well, I got to play alongside him for 4 years and I knew exactly what they were all about
Yeah.
and who they were. So that was really made my job easier. Now, sometimes I would have to make a tough decision that wasn't necessarily easy because, like, as G got older, I would have to have him tell him he was going to have a day off, and he never liked days off and would get mad at me. But I would just say, "Hey, G, you know, I'm going to give you a day off," and he'd say, "Well, sleep on it. Call me in the morning." And I'd say, "Okay, I'll sleep on it." But that made it easy. And what I appreciated about those two, right, is you never had to worry about them.
Yeah.
I could pencil Derek in every day and knew exactly what I was going to get. Now, I didn't mean he was going to go 3 for 4 every day, but you knew he was prepared. He was going to make the right decision. He was going to be in the right spot and he was going to play the game the right way. And the same about Mariano Rivera. I mean,
Yeah.
he was always prepared. And I loved it about both of them because there wasn't that pendulum that you would swing like,
No
how's he going
doubt.
to do today? I didn't worry about it. And it was a
Yeah.
guy, just pencil him, put him in there, and don't worry about him. Let me worry about somebody else.
Yeah. You know, my dad was a coach and a scout for years, and I can remember one of his favorite compliments to give was he said, you know, that Girardi, we could write out his game report, his grade before the game, right? We knew exactly what we're getting. Such a dependable guy. And those guys, if you think about 162 games over the course of how many years they played, it's an amazing compliment.
Yeah, I always said to people that the best compliment I could give about Derek Jeter and Mariano Rivera is I never worried about him.
Yeah.
I didn't. I
Yeah.
just there was no extra thought when they were in the game for me. That's not true for all players. I mean, there's players that you got a defense for. You don't know how they're going to do in a big moment. Are they going to overswing like that?
Sure.
Never had to worry about that with those two. They had incredibly slow heartbeats, which was great. There was no moment that was ever too big for them.
Yeah.
And those are the easiest players to manage. My mindset was we were there to win the World Series. That was my mindset. So how do you do that? You have to get better every day. You have to work your tail end off. You have to always be prepared, and you have to make good decisions.